Good afternoon. My name is Anthony Wei, and I'm here with my colleague, Judy Gonzalez, and we are with the Los Angeles County Department of Consumer and Business Affairs. Welcome to our webinar. Please take note that your microphone is currently on mute. You may ask questions at any time, including during the presentation, by submitting through the chat box located on the lower right-hand corner of the WebEx page. It is a good idea to leave the chat box open, even if you don't ask questions, because you'll be able to view valuable information entered in the chat throughout the webinar. This webinar is being recorded and will be available on our website along with other resources. Just go to dcba.lacounty.gov and click on the Small Claims tab. At the conclusion of today's presentation, we would appreciate you completing a 4-question survey to let us know how we did. Please give us suggestions for additional webinars. All feedback is welcome. Judy, take it away.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Judy, and welcome to the Department of Consumer and Business Affairs. In this video, we'll go over the SC-100 form in detail. Please be prepared with a pen and paper to note down all this valuable information. We will now begin and proceed with the form SC-100 and filling it out. Okay, so I'm going to go through briefly with how to get to the SC-100 form. So now we will go on to either through Google or through courts.cav.gov. If the website or the link could please be provided on the chat box below.
Judy, I don't mean to interrupt you. Are you able to, it looks like the share screen is not showing yet on the display for webinar. Perhaps you might want to give it a moment while it switches
Okay,
over.
let me see. How about
It's
now?
loading. It's loading now. Thank you.
No,
Perfect. Go
perfect.
ahead.
Okay, so like I said, you will go on to the website courts.cav.gov. This is the main home page. You will then go on to Forms and Rules. I'm sorry, it'll be Forms and Rules, find your court forms. Here you will just input SC-100. You will then see that the first SC-100 form, View PDF, you want to click on this little tab here. You will now see the form. We will now proceed with filling out this form. This is just going to be an example. I will be basically filling out the form itself to kind of guide each and every one of you on how a SC-100 form should be filled out. On page number 1, this section, this first page only needs to be filled out by the court clerk. So this page does not need to be filled out by you. We will now go on to page number 2. On page number 2, we will see here on number 1, section number 1, the plaintiff, the person, business, or public entity that is suing. So here you will want to note down your information if you are the one that is suing the other party. So for example, I will note down the individual that is going to sue the other party here. The name, first and last name. You will then go, it is optional if you want to put your phone number down, if you want. Down here on the street address, you will add the address of the plaintiff. If you may have a mailing address that you want to add, you could do so on this section here. I will not add a mailing address. I will just leave the main street address. As well, it is optional if you want to put your email addresses here. From there, it's going to give you an option if you want to add more than one plaintiff. And if you do, you will add the name here as well as to the address. I will not be adding an additional plaintiff here, so I will go down to the next section. If it is more than 2 plaintiffs, you may attach the SC-100A. You do want to click on this box here if there's multiple plaintiffs. If at one point you do have any questions, please just drop it down on the chat box. As soon as we have some time to answer those questions, we will. Okay, so now we'll go on to section number 2. On section number 2, it's the defendant, the person, business, or public entity being sued. So it's either an individual's name here. You do need to know first and last name as well as to their address. A physical address here. If it's a business, then the business name. If it's a public entity, then the name of the government agency or public entity that you are suing would be going here. For example, mine would be a management company. So it's a Geary Management LLC. I will then put the address here. And again, if there is any additional address that you may have for the management company LLC, and also to add something here, if it is a management company and there is an owner for the property as well, and you want to add both owner as well as to the management company, a way that you could verify the owner of the property is contacting the Los Angeles County Assessor's Office. And if we could please drop down that on the message box or the chat box, I'm sorry, with the information for the Assessor's Office. And if you want to verify the management company's name, what you could do, you could go on to the California Secretary of State. And what I'll do, I'll go through that website and we'll also drop it down on the chat box, the link. Let's do this. So we'll go on to sos.cav.gov. From there, you'll see the home page for the California Secretary of State. This is where you could do a business search. Here you will see the BIS file online. This is where you would want to click this tab here. Once you get onto this section, you will go on to business entities. Click free business search here. It will then take you to another page, another tab, where you'll see business search. You'll go down, you'll see search by name or file. I will just give an example of searching a T-Mobile company. Since T-Mobile is a very large company, you will see that the results are going to be a little bit higher than just specifically searching a management company that you might have the specific name. But I just want to show you an example of how it will look and how you have to add either the agent for service or the name of the business onto the claim. So we'll go with T-Mobile Central LLC. you'll see here that the main name that you want to add is the defendant. If it would be T-Mobile, then you would add T-Mobile Central LLC. Beneath there, for their address, then you would add principal address. And if you want to add mailing address, but since it's both the same, you could just add the principal address. You will then see that they have the agent for service. So the agent for service, you'll see a long name for the agent for service. You do not need to add the full name. For example, on this agent for service, you would just add the CSC Lawyers Incorporating Service. And you would also add their address, which is 2710 Gateway Oaks Drive. So this is basically just an example of how you could find and search the business name through the California Secretary of State. If you have difficulties trying to locate the name, or there is a list of multiple same companies that you do not know which exact is the company or corporation you should be suing, the best thing is contacting the California Secretary of State directly. They do have their contact number, and we'll also drop it down on the chat box if needed. But you could go on to their main homepage. Let me see if I could go back to the homepage. Really not taking me there. Let me start with the SL. Okay, so this is basically the home page. At the end of this page, you will notice that they have their contact information for the California Secretary of State. You will see their contact number here. So again, if you have any difficulty finding the business name, please make sure to contact them directly. Maybe they could go more into detail with the name of the business for you. Okay, so we'll go back now to the form. And that's where you would list the agent for service. I'll just add an example here of a name. Here you would want to add as a job title, agent for service, then an address. Here again, if there is multiple defendants that you're suing, so for example, for this one, if it's a management company and you also want to sue the owner, which you could do so as well, you could click on this box here and add the SC-100A to add the additional defendant. Okay, so we'll move on. And again, if you guys have any questions at all, please make sure to just drop it on the chat box and we will get to them as soon as we can. Okay, so now we'll go on to section number 3. On section number 3, the plaintiff's claim, the plaintiff claims that the defendant owes the amount. So what is it the amount that you will be suing the other party for? I will say that will be $3,500 that I will be suing the other party for. And it all depends. In small claims, the max, if it's an individual suing, then the max that you could sue in small claims is $10,000. If it is a business, then it becomes $5,000, the max that you would be able to sue in small claims. If you have questions in regards to the amount that you could sue, if you're a business or individual, we do have great information that you could go onto our website, which is dcba.lacounty.gov. We'll also be dropping that link down on the chat box. We have very valuable information for small claims, sample forms, and I will go through that if I have time at the end with you all. as well as to the videos that we also have, and we provide to the litigants to be able to see and to guide them through the process of small claims. So now we will go on to section 3A. On 3A, why does the defendant owe the plaintiff money? So in this section, you want to be brief on the reason that the other party owes you the amount that you're suing for. You're brief, but at the same time, because this is going to be asked from you the day of the hearing by the judge. So you will basically be explaining your side of your case to the judge. So here we could just add the reason why I am suing the other party is due to security deposit. Okay, so that's just a little brief description of the reason why they owe me the amount that they owe me due to the security deposit. I moved out of the property and I have not received it, and it's been already since February, and we're now on to July. Okay, so now we'll go on to section 3, letter B. So when did this happen? So here you would want to put the date of when either the contract was broken or when the incident occurred. For example, in this situation, this scenario, it would be when they broke the contract because they failed to give me the security deposit. I would say the date February 2nd. Here, I will just indicate if it's a date, a time period. So specific, if no specific date, give a time period from date started through whichever date it ended. And if at any point, okay, so now we're gonna go on to section 3C here. How did you calculate the money owed to you? Do not include court costs or fees for service. So here we want to add, how is it that we calculated the amount that we're suing for? I would say I have a contract, I have receipts, and emails. And for example, if you have further evidence or information such as text, pictures, whatsoever, you would want to add that here, or estimates on this section C. This box here is only checked off if at any point you do not have any room left here, you want additional room, then you will add the form MC031. And you could just check off this box if you do add that form. So now we'll be going on to section number 4. You must ask the defendant in person, in writing, or by phone to pay you before you sue. If your claim is for possession of property, you must ask the defendant to give you the property have you done this? So it's either yes or no. So since I've been in contact with the other party, I've been emailing them, I've been texting them, I've been contacting them by phone, then I would say yes. If no, then you'll check off no, and you'll give a brief description of why is it the reason that you have not been in contact with the other party in regards to you suing them or the amount that they owe you. Okay, so we'll now go on to number 5. On number 5, why are you filing your claim at this courthouse? This courthouse covers the area. Check the one that applies. Normally, it would be 5A, and I would explain each from 1 to 4 so that you could see the reasons why you would check off A. So it's where the defendant lives or does business, where the plaintiff's property was damaged, where the plaintiff was injured, where a contract written or spoken was made, signed, performed, or broken by the defendant, or where the defendant lived or did business when the defendant made the contract. You will see this all here. Basically, you will be filing the claim wherever the incident occurred, depending on the zip code, or where the contract was made with the party or wherever the defendant resides. You can also see all this information on our website again, and I know that we have the website dropped on our chat box so that you could review it. Okay, so on section number 6, list the zip code of the place checked in number 5 above. So here, since we checked A, where the defendant resides in or where the contract was made or where the incident occurred, you would indicate the zip code here. So I'm going to put this zip code. And a way, we could go over this right now, in a way that you could locate where you could file your claim is to, let me go on to that website right now. We'll look under courts. I'm sorry, it's lacourts.org. We'll also be dropping that link down on the chat box. You will see the home page here for the Superior Court of California, County of Los Angeles. You will go on to the tab Online Services. From here, you'll see the Small Claims section. Small Claims, you'll go all the way down to the Filing Court Locator tab. You'll click there. Okay, so now we're on the Filing Court Locator section. We will go down to where you see search for the last district or courthouse where your case belongs. We'll go down to zip code. We'll add that zip code here. We'll go down. The location is in Whittier. So we'll go all the way down to we see small claims right here. So this claim would belong to the Bellflower Courthouse. You'll click onto the Bellflower Courthouse. Below, you'll see their general information. You will see their address and the name of the courthouse, as well as to their contact information. So this is a way of how you could look and find where you would have to file your claim. Again, lacourt.org. Okay, so now we'll go back onto the claim form. So now we know that this claim has to be filed at the Bellflower Courthouse. We go down to number 7. On number 7, is your claim about an attorney attorney-client fee dispute? Yes or no? This example would be no. It is not against attorney-client fee dispute. If it was, then you would need to fill out Form SC-101. Again, if you have further questions regarding any client fee dispute or claims in small claims due to attorney fees, then I would suggest you go over to our website and get a little bit more information. Or if you have questions now, please make sure to drop it down on our Dropbox. And as soon as we have some time, we will be able to answer those questions. Okay, so now we'll go on to section number 8. Are you suing a public entity? Yes or no? For me, it would be a no. And again, when suing a public entity or a government agency, the first thing you want to do is file a written claim with that agency itself before proceeding anything with small claims. Okay, so we'll go on to section number 9. Have you filed more than 12 other small claims within the last 12 months in California? Yes or no? This is actually my first time filing a claim with small claims, so I would say no. So I'll check off that box. If it would be yes, then the filing fees will be higher as in normal fees. And with the fees itself, it actually falls depending on how much you are currently suing for, that you would have to pay for the filing fee. And we'll go over that shortly in regards to the fees. For number 10, number 10 is your claim for more than $2,500. So for me, it would be yes, because I am suing for $3,500. Okay, so on number 11, I understand that by filing a claim in the small claims court, I have no rights to appeal this claim. So only the defendant has or is able to appeal the decision that the judge makes, but the defendant cannot appeal the claim. So I declare under penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of California that the information above and any attachments to this form is true and correct. You will then date, print, and sign your name on this section here. So let's see, today's date. We are now at the end of the form and have concluded the form SC-100. We have now some time to go over some questions as well as to go over some sections that would be very helpful for you.
Thank you very much, Judy. So I think before we begin with the audience questions, to give the audience time to submit them, would you be kind enough to show them a really great website full of resources, which is our department website?
Yes, I'll be gladly look that up. Okay, so we're going to go on to a new tab, go on to our dcba.lacounty.gov.
And I also want to mention that if this is your first time doing small claims, I think this website is a fantastic place to start at, due to the videos and and the sample forms and the tip sheets that Judy's about to show you is pretty much going to be very comprehensive and pretty much cover everything from start to finish regarding most common questions about small claims. Go ahead, Judy.
Okay, so we're on the DCBA website, Consumer and Business Affairs. You will now see that there is different tabs here. You will go down to small claims. There is, like my colleague Anthony said, there is various and very helpful, valuable information that would be able to assist you through your small claims process. Here you will see, here you will see want to sue. I'm being sued, forms or resources. We will go over the sample forms. Let me go over here and show you how to locate the sample forms. So these are very, very helpful for someone that wants to get assistance in regards to filling out any type of form in small claims, depending on what form it is. You could come here, go on to the updated sample forms. So here you'll see the list of sample forms for small claims. You would see the SC-100, individual versus an individual, individual versus an LLC. I will click on this one here. So basically here it'll go over of how you should note down your information, the plaintiff, just how we went over the SC-100 form earlier. Basically, this is what it does here on our website. You could go onto the DCBA website under small claims sample forms, and you'll be able to locate the SC-100 form. And it'll basically guide you just how we guided you all today. And like I was saying, regarding the filing fees, it actually give you the amount or the fee amount that you will be paying, depending on what section you fall under, what bracket here. So we could go up just so that I could show you a few other forms. So the SC-100, the fee waiver form, if you qualify for the fee waiver, if you're receiving any type of governmental assistance, you may want to fill out the fee waiver, the FW001 form.
And Judy, what are very common criteria that people might apply for a fee waiver? Just some examples.
If you're receiving any type of Medi-Cal, food stamps, Social Security, those are a few examples that I would have in regards to being able to request for the fee waiver.
Wonderful, Judy. And I also want to throw in that if you can get a fee waiver to file a lawsuit, it also qualifies you as a fee waiver for when you have the sheriff serve the court papers on the defendant.
Correct, correct. Thank you, Anthony.
Mm-hmm. Could you show them where the resource videos are and
Sure.
perhaps some recommendations on maybe which ones to start with if it's their first time?
Yes. So we'll go over to the resource video. So we'll get out of the sample form section. We'll go back to the small claims tab under resources, resource videos, click there. And also a reminder, if you have any questions, please make sure to drop it down on our chat box and we will be able to hopefully answer all questions that we may be having. Okay. Okay, so here we are, small claims short videos. Here you will find small claims information, different videos, and one that would be great to watch would be the small claims court process in Los Angeles County.
And that's one is only 30 minutes long. It is comprehensive, but the benefit is that you can watch it as many times as you want, slow it down, rewind it, and really take in the information. And
Yes,
like Judy said, it's very comprehensive. It shows you what you should be expecting or doing from start to finish.
correct.
And also, Judy, if you want to show them, if they prefer not to watch videos, we do have written tip sheets too.
I'm sorry, Anthony, could you please assist me with that?
Yes, so there's a lot of them, of course. Perhaps if you're starting out, you could always start out with a column that says, I want to sue. And there's the subsection called How to Sue and Postponements. And that's usually a good place to start if you prefer to read rather than watch the videos.
And I'm sorry, where could they locate that information, Anthony?
So when you move your mouse over small claims, it has a drop-down menu. And with the
Mm-hmm.
drop-down menu, there are 4 columns. The column that's furthest to the left has the heading I want to sue. And oh, and then below that, you can click on How to Sue and Postponements. And you see that you have several articles or tip sheets that cover the most basic information, like how to start a small claims lawsuit, who a plaintiff is, who a defendant is, how to do a subpoena, how serving works, things like that. So yeah, overall, this is a great website, a good resource. We highly recommend that you take advantage of that and really take the time to look at the sample forms, the videos, and the tip sheets. Most likely, your most common questions will be answered by looking at materials. But perhaps after you look it over, you might have still some lingering questions. You're always welcome to contact us for clarification through our phone number or submitting a question on our website. We will be available to answer any remaining questions once you have a chance to really absorb the information. Why don't we go ahead and start with our first question from the audience? I
Thank
understand that
you, Anthony.
some of our audience came a little late, so actually this is a good refresher question. Actually, the question is asking, I'm starting a small claims case. Can you tell me who is the plaintiff and who is the defendant?
So the plaintiff is the person that is suing the defendant. So the defendant is the one that's getting sued in small claims.
Wonderful. And also another thing that Judy mentioned earlier when we were going over form is that on the SC-100, there is space to put a certain number of plaintiffs and defendants. But if you run out of room, like maybe you want to name additional parties, they also have a checkbox where it says check here if you want to add additional parties and add the form SC-100A. Uh, when you have a chance to look up the SC-100A, it's pretty much just an extension of the SC-100. It's a very similar formatting. It's just that it gives additional room for you to name the additional parties. Is there anything else you want to add to that, Judy, before we move on to the next question?
No, thank you though for the assistance, Anthony.
No problem. The next question that we have from the audience is, do I need to submit my evidence at the same time I file my claim?
You do not, no. When you file your claim, it's only the claim itself, the Form SC-100, that is the only thing you have to file. But once your claim has been filed and stamped as well with the hearing date, then you will receive that, including the packet of the procedures on how to submit your evidence.
Great. And I want to, kind of segue from what Judy was saying is keep in mind that you're not trying to file and win your case all in one grand swoop, one giant step. Um, it's just step one out of many. The filing is just to get this case started, to get the case number and your hearing scheduled. So you're not trying to do everything all at once with the filing form. The SC-100 is just to file the case. You'll have your opportunity later, like Judy said, to present your evidence and submit your evidence to the court and to the other party. And then that's when you're going to have your hearing with the judge and go over that. Of course, the judge needs to actually go over it with everyone and before making a decision. So just be mindful of that so you don't have to give overly elaborate explanations of what happened, like Judy said on the form. Like Judy said, just keep it brief and to the point when you describe what happens on question 3, because you're just filing. And once you have your day in court, you'll have a chance to further elaborate on what happened. So thank you, Judy.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay, so we have another question from the audience. Who can appeal the judgment and how many days do I have? So, if you remember earlier, Judy read a little disclaimer there on the SC-100 saying that the plaintiff themselves may not necessarily be able to do an appeal. So maybe Judy, you can elaborate on, who the appeal process applies to and how it works in general and how many days.
Yeah, so the appeal process only applies to the defendant itself. So as soon as they receive a notification of the judgment, if a judgment is entered against them, then it will notify them and it will give them 30 days to appeal that decision. For the plaintiff, it's a little different where they cannot appeal the decision of the judge. What they can do is submit a form SC-105, a request for reconsideration in regards to the decision of the judge.
Great. And then for the SC-105, we have sample forms also for that.
Yeah.
Right. And another thing I want to elaborate on with what Judy said is that the SC-105 is a general form. So anytime that you might have some type of miscellaneous request for the court that doesn't quite fit any other procedure or form, well, the SC-105 is a generic form that you could use to put in that request, and that way the court can review it and respond back. So we'll go ahead and go on to the next question from the audience. They're asking, what is the next step I take after I file the SC-100 with the court?
Okay, so the next step that you would take after filing the SC-100 is once you received it back from the courthouse with the court date, then you will have to either you have 3 options. First, you have the option of having the sheriff serve the other party because you do have to notify the other party that they're being sued. So it's either through the sheriff's department. They do have a fee of $40, and you could also see that on our website for further information or in detail. And second, it would be processing company. Third, it would be either a family member or a family friend that's 18 years of age or older, not involved in the claim, that could sue the other party. And again, if they do sue the other, going back, if they serve the other party, then they will have to fill out a form, which is the proof of service that they have served the other party, which is the SC-104. And again, if you have any further questions regarding the form itself and what they have to do next, then just let us know. Drop down your question on the chat box, and also you could locate that information on the website, on our DCBA website.
Thank you, Judy. I also want to add in that if you do incur expenses with serving, like say paying the sheriff $40 or a private process server their own fees, usually what will happen is if you win your judgment, the plaintiff wins their judgment, then the judge will usually award both the judgment plus the cost of the filing fees and the serving fees. And then they'll give a grand total, totaling up all those figures. So you do not have to include those fees on the amount that you're suing for. It's something that's just automatically done if you do win your court case. So we'll move on to the next question from the audience. It says, I wasn't in an auto accident. Who do I sue?
Okay, so in that case, in that circumstance, it would either be, you could do either the driver of the vehicle or the owner of the vehicle. or both. So those
And
would be
there's
your options.
yes, and Judy, if we can encourage everyone to refer to the sample forms and to our tip sheets, like how to name a person,
Mm-hmm.
there is a particular way you would name them. Like, for example, when you put their name down, you can put in parentheses driver, or
Mm-hmm.
put in parentheses registered owner. So that way, when the judge reviews the paperwork, they can make the distinction of which one is which, especially since you are planning to maybe perhaps name both together on the same case. And also, you could do that for yourself too as a plaintiff. You could, go ahead and put in parentheses that you were the driver, or put in parentheses that you are the registered owner of the vehicle. Or if perhaps you're both, you can actually put registered owner and driver. And you can do the same when naming the defendant also.
Thank you, Anthony.
Mhm. So at the present moment, we're waiting to see if the audience has further questions. Now, with that said, there are some very common ones that we experience here at our department, and perhaps maybe we can go over that so it might make it easier for those watching this. I think perhaps the most difficult question to, and the most crucial question to get right on SC-100 is question two, naming the defendant. Because especially if you are suing a business, you want to name them correctly. And maybe, Judy, if you want to, you can elaborate on that. How it's important to clarify if it's a sole proprietorship, a corporation, LLC, and what the differences are, and how someone can go ahead and do the research to find that information.
Yeah, so it's very important to name the parties that you are suing correctly, because you don't want to have any type of either issues or difficulties at the end if once the judgment has been entered in trying to collect if a judgment is entered. A way that you could try to verify and get the information that is needed is either through the California Secretary of State or either going through the city of where they're making business. Normally for corporations, LLCs, you would go over to the California Secretary of State to do the business search. If it would be a business, a small business, or anything like that, then you would want to go over to the city of where they're currently making business to verify the name, as well as if you need to know the owner of the property or anything like that, that would be the assessor's office.
Owner
Yeah,
like a
so there's
landlord, correct, Judy?
correct, like landlord.
Mm.
Hmm. Yes, thank you, Anthony. If there's anything that you would want to add, that would be great.
Yes, yes. Sometimes what could be helpful too is certain businesses actually also have to be licensed by perhaps like the state agencies, state regulatory agencies, and sometimes that could be helpful if you need to look them up. For example, auto repair shops like mechanics, body shops, they actually have to be licensed by the California Bureau of Automobile Repair, California Bureau of Auto Repair, and you can actually go on their website and actually look up the license. And sometimes when you do that, it can actually tell you if the business is under like an individual owner's name, like a sole proprietorship, or under perhaps a corporation name. So that could be another resource too. Another example would be car dealerships. Car dealerships have to be licensed and regulated by the DMV of California. So you can actually go on the California DMV website and do a license search of the dealership, and it'll say under the ownership, an individual person's name, or perhaps like it'll say that something something LLC or something something corporation. Well, that just gave you a lead, because once you know the name of the corporation or LLC, then you know that, okay, now you can go ahead and go to the Secretary of State website and look up that particular corporation or LLC name, and give you that information that you need to put on there. Sometimes people call and they ask, who should they put for the agent of service? Ideally, that shouldn't be something you would be guessing. Ideally, if you do have the correct corporate name or LLC name, you can just go ahead and go to the Secretary of State website and look it up and just simply put down what's listed there. There shouldn't have to be necessarily guesswork involved. You
Mhm.
just simply look at the registration and put down what the registration says.
Correct. Thank you, Anthony.
Hmm. And so Judy, could you elaborate more on sole proprietorships and how would someone name a sole proprietorship business name on the SC-100? Like for example, perhaps they chose not to do a corporation or LLC. Maybe for whatever reason, they chose to just register it under the individual name. Like maybe John Smith started a hamburger stand and he calls it John's Hamburgers. But he chose not to do a corporation or LLC. So what he did was he registered, and we're talking about defendants here. They decided to register their DBA. So in that situation, how would a person write out that defendant's name if it's John Smith and he's the owner of John's Burgers?
So it would be John Smith, DBA, John's Burgers.
Perfect. And that's good. So that way, the judgment, if you do win the judgment, it will be against the business and the individual owner, which means that it gives you the ability to collect assets. And actually, that segs into perhaps the last question that might be the most common one we get, and that is, how do you collect your judgment if you win?
So there is different options on how to collect. One will be either through a bank levy, which if you know where they're currently banking. Another one would be a wage garnishment. Will be if you know where they're currently employed to be able to deduct that from their wages. Third, if they do own a business and there is a cash register at that business, then what they could do, the sheriff's department could actually go and do a tilt tap to that business. Another one would be if you know that they own a property, a home that you could put a lien on, then you could go ahead and do that as well. So those are some options in regards to how to collect your judgment. There's other options if it is a car accident, then there would be an option of being able to suspend their license. And there's more information again on our website if you would want to know how to suspend a license, how to do a wage garnishment, as well to bank levy, till tap. That all information is on our website, and also feel free to give us a call also as well. If you have any further questions, you can let us know.
Thank you, Judy. So I think we answered everyone's questions today, and we have reached the end of our webinar. So thank you for attending our webinar. Please remember that this video, along with other valuable small claims resources and procedural information, can be accessed on our website, dcba.lacounty.gov. Please be on the lookout for more videos to come. We would really appreciate it if you would complete the question survey to let us know how we did. There should be 4 questions there, and it should be very quick to go through them. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you.